All right, so this is a Kiln Fiend combo deck. Kiln Fiend was a historic anthology card. If you're not familiar with, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gains 3 attack until end of turn. We've got Festival Crasher here as well, which is kind of a little bit baby Kiln Fiend. Gets 2 attack when you cast an instant or sorcery spell. And then we've got a bunch of instant sorcery spells. We've got Cantrips and Abundant Harvest, as well as Fist of Flames. We've got Wild Shape as a combat trick that can give Trample or Hexproof to protect your stuff. We've got Scale Up as a 1-mana make something a base 6/4. So if you're not familiar with how magic modifiers work, you can scale up the Kiln Fiend, and then it will be a 9 attack creature. We've got Atarka's Command for reach/pushing damage. We've got some Soul-Scar Mages and some Dreadhorde Arcanists, so let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. We do meet the requirement for the Wellspring. However, the matchups where you're going to want Wellspring are also Shifting Ceratops matchups, and I'd much rather just have Shifting Ceratops. So the grindy matchups where you want access to Wellspring, you also would rather just run them down with that. I mean, there's no think about it, Neil. The matchmaking strength based on commander is functional. They said they fixed it in the last patch, and they did. There's no need to be conspiracy theorist about it. They didn't lie to us. Wizards frequently has poor communication, but they usually don't outright lie to players. So, lack of communication and being dishonest are different. We have to go to 5 here because we just don't have a threat. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? We'll keep 2 lands, 2 threats, Abundant Harvest. Probably bottom of forest here. To Wizards' credit, no fire, no steel. The queuing into the same person multiple times being called a feature instead of a bug was done by some low-level support person, not some sort of conspiracy at the top level to lie to players as a whole. So, like, again, context is key, as is often the case with things in life. I would venture to guess this matchup is probably in the difficult to impossible range. We'll see. Maybe we can run them down here, but... I think I'm going to go ahead and draw a land with this Abundant Harvest we're about to flashback. Because I would like to play Festival Crasher this turn. We didn't draw Den of the Bugbear there, thankfully. That could have ended poorly. Wild Shape's a great draw, because because it's going to let us defend our Dorkos against the Mayhem Devil triggers here. Yeah, these new lands are super playable, chat. BT dubs. I think they're better than the buddy lands in Historic. Clifftop Retreat et al. And then now when they go to do this, we'll go ahead and if I make this a 3/3, it will get 1/1 from a prowess trigger and then another 1/1 from a prowess trigger. So it'll have 5 total toughness. So it'll survive 2 devil pings plus a reckless rage and it'll push the most damage. Are they dead? Holy shit, they just died. All right, sure. Yeah, that's a great start. I was not expecting that to add up to lethal there. And then they died. Chat, we mulliganed to 5 and got Thoughtseize that game. Huh. All right, I'm picking up what this deck is putting down. I'm into it. Yeah, I was focused on keeping our creatures alive. I just wasn't even counting for lethal. I counted for could we push the most damage. This deck doesn't have a curve, it's a brick. Just punch him in the face with the brick. I think we swap out a couple of Atarka's commands and for Snakeskin Veil to be able to protect our stuff here a little bit. That was turn 4. It was a turn 4 lethal through Thoughtseize, and while it was turn 4 lethal through a mulligan to 5, a Thoughtseize, and while killing 2 of their things. Hey, Dustal, thanks for the 2 months. Welcome back. And Wasatch Warrior, thank you for the 13 months. I really appreciate the support. Yeah, it's fine. I think we just grab a land here. I think we want to get to 3 most games. Did I do the side quests in 2018 God of War? I did some, but not all. I don't usually do the filler style quests, but usually I'll do the quests that have story tied into them, and I'll let chat direct me to which of those are which. I think I lead on Festival Crasher here because I want to commit a threat to play, but I'd like to deploy Dreadhorde Arcanist while I have protection up because this generates card advantage for me. Hey, thanks, Lanier. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I had a good time putting it on. Do I just play Kiln Fiend and then try and kill them next turn? Is that a legal play? I mean, it's definitely the content play, right? I would like the record to reflect it's probably correct to play Dreadhorde with protection here. But the content play is definitely try to kill them next turn, so we're gonna go for it. I mean, if they had removal, they would have killed Crasher, right? I don't know, we'll see. Cometh at me. Play your Wellspring out. So I can't Reckless Rage Corvold in response here because they'll just sack something to the oven. And if we give the thing Trample that Corvold blocks next turn, we can Reckless Rage it. So I want to draw an untapped land here. So what does my damage look like right now with just 2 spells? I guess I could technically do 1, 2, 3, huh? So let's do this first and see if we draw an untapped land. Okay, so there's an untapped land. So this gives +2 attack. This also gives +2 attack. I think it's actually better to just do both of these, right? And we give trample and we give, I guess this is more resource efficient. And it's the same amount of extra damage. This technically doesn't draw a card. Okay, so this is 14, and then Reckless Rage is basically a deal 4 because this has trample. And then it puts 5 extra attack on our stuff. So this is 19, and they can sacrifice. They're dead, right? They're exactly dead. They sacrifice one thing, give this a counter, and then they have 2 plus 17 is 19. I'm attacking for 19. Okay. All right. Yeah, sure. Yowza. I have deck donations lined up for today, tomorrow, and Thursday already. So if we do deck voting, it won't be until Friday. And if we keep getting donation decks, we're going to keep doing those, and deck voting will return when people stop sending dollar dues. Dollar dues is the most powerful way to vote, champ. Okie doke. 2 lands, 3 threats. To the people commenting on me muting and hiding my webcam, you can probably hear in my voice I am a little bit sick. I have a cold. We did a COVID test. We're not COVID. So that's good. Just, you know, a little bit sore throat and a runny nose. So I am muting when I need to clear my nostrils. One of the most frustrating parts of Rona is like every time, you know, sore throat, nose runs, just anything that could possibly be simple. It's like, fuck, I guess I should go get a test and make sure we're not spreading the plague. Yeah, my older 2 have been back at school for almost a month now, and the youngest has been doing daycare 2 days a week for about 2 months now. So, some amount of illness from that is normal and expected. How much do the tests cost? When you can get you can get a PCR test for free in the United States, but that usually takes a couple of days to get. Rapid tests, when you can get them in stock, are actually relatively cheap. I think Chrissy said they're like $7 a piece or something like that. Two things, hope you feel better. And 2, this deck only cost me 5 common wildcards. Yeah, The rares in this deck are all pretty much rares you'd find in other playable decks. A lot of the off-meta cards in here are like Kiln Fiend, which is a common. Thanks for the follow, J. Houston. Well, so I'm not talking about going to a place with where they offer rapid tests. You could get like over-the-counter, off-the-shelf rapid tests in some places, Scottish. The stock on them has not been great, but they're pretty accurate. Hollow Blade is a neat splash in the Madness deck. It's also kind of neat that, like, you could theoretically, like, Hollow Blade on 2, discard 3 cards, play Hollowed ones. You have to pay for tests if you don't want a PCR test that takes up to 3 days to get back, Pelly, because testing centers are backed up. So one of the things the United States has really flubbed is rapid testing has not been made a priority and accessible like it has in other places. People talking about the UK and Europe, and rapid tests, getting them there are the norm in those places, and that is not the case here in the United States. That is one place both the previous and the current administration have both fallen short in not prioritizing. All right, are we just like reckless raging and trying to attack here? I think I am. So if I do this, I could like kill this, tap this, but then if I reckless rage these two, this could trade here. But if these trade here, this pushes 7 damage. So I think that's a worthwhile exchange. Oh, it is going to die because Soul-Scar. Good call. So, my comment on these trading is still accurate, but... So if they take this trade, they go to 9, which is decent for us. The Biden administration has exceeded my expectations in a number of areas while continuing to fall short in areas that I expected them to fall short in. So they've continued to flub policies in terms of things like immigration. Like we saw Obama's administration also flub, just like Trump. Trump made it worse, but Obama was also bad at it. The fact that we actually got out of Afghanistan and Iraq is great. I didn't expect that to actually happen, but there was still, you know, the awful drone strikes that happened there. But has done better than I expected from a centrist candidate on a number of other things. Far cry from perfect, though. We'll see. There's still time if he can appropriately put pressure on the assholes in the Senate who are letting the filibuster stand. If voting rights happen and get passed, I will be content with, by and large, what has happened with the administration. No tramples currently. Don't have great attacks here. I think we're passing. I'm excited for Pokemon TCG Live. Depends on what their economy looks like and if they're willing to give me free cards. I don't know. So I am explicitly not well informed on foreign things like Afghanistan, but I don't know. Like there's been so much blowback on that I honestly, like, it's one of those things where it feels like everybody's an armchair expert and everybody's like, well, we could have done it much better than this. But, like, the reality of that situation on the ground is no matter what happened, it was going to be messy, right? Like, I don't think there's a good way to pour out of 20-year foreign war. Like, and in fact, The fact that there's no good way to pull out is why we've had now 3 presidents, Obama, Trump, and then finally Biden, who pulled out, who they said, like, we're gonna get our troops out of there, and then they never fucking did. We're just dead on the backswing, right? Yeah, we just fell a little bit too far behind here. We mulliganed to 5. That is correct, Bender, but we just shouldn't have been there in the first place. All right, so I've got Scoozes and Soul Guide Lanterns are great here. I think I want Magma Spray. The question here is how interactive do I want to be in these post-board games? They have a lot of chump blockers, so I feel like Scale Up probably comes out. Same thing with Reckless Charge. I feel like I do want to be a little bit more controlling here. I want to keep all of my Trampler enablers for sure. Maybe Atarka's Command is the cut if we're being a little bit less linear. I could board in like 1 Unholy Heat. I don't hate that. For people that are new to the channel, welcome. It's great to see almost 600 people in here this morning. My name's Jeff Hoagland. We stream Magic and other games here full-time on Twitch. For Magic, we do pretty much all constructed stuff. Usually I play somewhere between 2 and 4 Magic decks every single day. We do Historic, Standard, some Historic Brawl. We take a lot of mulligans. This hand's fine. There's actually a real question with how we mulligan the lands here with Rockfall Vale. So do I bottom the mountain? Do I want to keep the extra green for Scavenging Ooze is the question. I think the answer is yes. And to continue my introduction, by the way, obviously you heard us talking about politics there for a little bit. I know a lot of other streams tend to shy away from that type of thing. I'm relatively politically involved, and I like to talk about things when the topics come up kind of organically. We don't hammer on it all day for the entirety of the stream, but if there's something I feel worth talking about, I don't shy away from it regardless of what the topic is. I think I'm gonna... actually don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Arcanist to start. And then honestly, I think I'm gonna do this now while they can't pay for a madness spell. So, honestly, when it comes to data analysis and breaking it down, Scottish, like, there really isn't, like, truly unbiased data is, like, rare to impossible to get. The key is understanding where the bias in your data is coming from and acknowledging what that bias is and then using that information while you parse what the data could potentially be telling you. Data almost always had some type of flaws, right? Whether it's, you know, sample bias, response bias, you know, explicit bias from how it was collected from the people managing the data to begin with. Understanding your sources and where their issues potentially come from is really important. Untapped green stars should be a great draw here, so we could use the Scavenging Ooze to get up to a 4/4. Nice. The way I do it is typically try and compile data from opposing biases. Yeah, but like, even that doesn't really work to a degree because like, not all bias are equal. Yeah, and for the new folks, by the way, I have a graduate as well as an undergraduate degree in mathematics before I was a full-time meme here on Twitch, I spent a lot of time teaching. We have a date for the next open. So, at a minimum, the next open will be the weekend the next Innistrad set releases. If Wizards of the Coast decides to grace us with another historic card release between now and Innistrad, we will have a release event on the in-between. But Wizards isn't big on communicating, so I'm not blocking here, because if I block and try and pump and they have another Fiery Temper, I get caught with my hand in the cookie jar. So I'm just chilling for the time being. Okay. Yeah, I mean, for people asking, like, will we get X? We might get X, we might get Y, we might get nothing. So, previously, we always got some type of historic card release 6 weeks after a standard set. However, this current release cycle for standard sets with Innistrad being quickly is the Innistrad sets are only 8 weeks apart, right? Is that accurate? 8 weeks? Because the next set releases in November, right? So maybe it's like 9 or 10 weeks. This hit middle of September. So there could be no card release in between this time. Yeah, it's really close together. Yeah, it could be 8 to 11 weeks apart. And if they're 11 weeks apart, we could still see a historic card release 6 weeks in between. Does anybody want to do the Google search, by the way? Can somebody look up? I should know this. I should write it down. It's November 19th. Okay, so it is about 8 weeks then, right? Because this was what we released on here September 16th. Hey, Gengrade, thank you for the 16 months. Welcome back. Alright, so let's grab Darcy and their Faithless Looting, as well as a bunch of other stuff in here. We want to keep their Delirium to a minimum if possible. Definitely looking for a spell here. We're only in an okay spot here. Like, their board is relatively wide. Like, Scavenging Ooze is holding it down for now, but, like, they find an untapped land, and the Bugbear comes trucking in. Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? July, thanks for the follow. My opponent phased my red adversary in response to the trigger. I still got to cast. They stopped my blue one later, same timing. I didn't get to phase the two targets. So my understanding is if the thing dies before it gets the counters, this thing's not supposed to happen. the way the templating on those cards works. Honestly, it might be right to, cantrip this. Yes, yeah, they came up in the open. Curse of Leeches. No, can't say I've seen that one come across my thing. Thursday. Oh, they drew a deal too. Sag. They could have also drawn a Fiery Temper, I suppose. Them having cards like Seasoned Pyromancer definitely gives them an edge. They discarded a creature. Deal. That seems like a really good exchange for us. Yeah, I think we're dead, fam. Four, 10, 11, 12, 13. Thanks for the follow, Tenza. I think we're exactly dead if they fire up the Den of the Bugbear and we block a 1-power thing. Yeah, it's so brutal. I'll see if they attack with everything or not. They're supposed to attack with everything here. I'm forced to jump block if they do. Yeah, they figured it out. I'm just gonna go ahead and die. We don't have any outs here. If they hadn't attacked with the Root Walla, we might have had like a crazy series of draws next turn with Fist of Flames, but even then we're pretty unlikely to win. Matchup seemed pretty hard. Their deck's definitely better at being kind of a 1-for-1 removal deck than ours is. We're more of a critical mass combo, aggro combo deck. So when it comes to 1-for-1ing a bunch like those games we're coming down to there, they definitely seem to head. I don't know, Rhino. It's hard to know after playing 2 games. I also don't think our being linear plan is particularly good there either, so it's probably just a bad matchup. I'm gonna do a little bit of damage here. Someone asked earlier what the combo in our deck was. This is the answer. Not quite a turn 4 kill because we had Crasher instead of Kiln Fiend, but close. Okay, they're alive. Yeah, they're dead, chat. This has trample. Good night, sweet prince. Big Fig, thanks for the 13 months. Welcome back. Couple of magma sprays. How interactive do we get? This takes care of Phoenixes and it shuts off their Darcy's. I think Scooze is probably a little slow here. Trim a couple of Rages. They're gonna have slightly less threats. Trim a Harvest actually and keep the extra command in. Surprise Reach can give us blocks and key spots on occasion too, in addition to pushing damage like we did that first game. It's the 28 months, Ornell. Good morning, good morning. think we take the Arcanist on top with the Atarka's command in hand. Morning, Dietzel. Hopefully we don't get punished for not having the Lantern in play here. We might. Could be Phoenix is coming. Yeah, there's the bird. So I assume they have a 1 or 2 mana instant here. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Need to kill my threat too. I guess we'll see. If they don't have an answer to Arcanist, it gets to flashback Magma Spray and deal with the Phoenix next turn, which is nice. Hey, congrats, Juggalos. Hope you're having fun. Alright, and alas, out of threats. Let's go dig in here. I guess this is like a threat. Dropping all my stuff this morning, chap. Not dead yet. Thanks for the follow, Talk. Yeah, you can't have deck strength matchmaking in a competitive format. The deck strength matchmaking is the only reason Brawl is playable. It's why I wasn't playing Brawl when it was disabled. Morning, Rickles. Hitting 2 forests here is pretty big, feels bad. I can't double spell next turn. Lightning Axe, having a 1 mana way to kill my Dreadhorde, also rough. I will never understand why Phoenix players play Anger of the Gods. Like, I think a sweeper in your Phoenix deck is fine, but like, playing the sweeper that would exile your birds if you have birds in play is just so incredibly bad. And this is far from the first person I've had play that do that against me. Yeah, you should play Sweltering Suns. Like, and again, for the record, like, playing a sweeper is fine. I'd even argue having access to sweepers is good. Flame Sweep can be a good one. Only dealing 2 damage is a little medium. But yeah, in general, I would recommend playing. If you want a 3 damage sweeper, which I think is a fine position to have, play Sweltering Suns. As at least when that one kills your phoenixes, you get to bring them back after. I guess maybe they could be playing Anger for the Mirror. That's the only thing that really makes sense, right? Our deck definitely does not play well from behind. We either do our thing or we just get kind of picked apart. Opponent at 4 cards in hand here still. Likely means that our Soul-Scar Mage is dead and we're back to just sitting on our hands. Someone asked if, other than Merfolk, are there other perpetual cards that have made an impact in Historic? And the answer is no. They were incredibly conservative with their designs on their first batch of digital-only cards. Most of them are not playable. Hey, Slow. Thanks for the 32 months. Welcome back. None of the Bugbear is actually not a terrible draw here. It is a scotch unfortunate that I don't have a Reckless Rage. Maybe I was supposed to keep Soul-Scar Mage because of Reckless Rage. Yeah, well, the Vespelark combo's not good, so... They asked if things had an impact on the format. Yeah, Withering sees some small amount of fringe play, but it's largely not good as well. All right. I think I just want to get aggressive here, huh? I think I'm going to fire up my den. Attack with both of these. We make the token, and then we'll do this here. 4 blocks. I could Arcanist and Rage here, but then I'm only pushing 4 instead of 7. And playing Arcanist out also extends into another sweeper, which I don't really want to do. Is the Davriel Planeswalker played in red-black mid-range? No. 1, red-black mid-range isn't very good to begin with, and 2, they'd rather play something like Seasoned Pyromancer for card advantage. There are a couple of lists that were posted that, like, it existed in them, but those lists were never good or put up any results. They haven't been a force on the ladder either. Opponent already with more cards in hand than us, finding their card draw 2 with selection. So we're gonna Aether Gust my Kiln Fiend. Honestly, if they go land Aether Gust my Kiln Fiend, I'm going to bottom it and then hope to draw land so we can then Bugbear plus Dreadhorde Arcanist. But if they had a land, they might have had a land in hand already. Oh, this is actually pretty good for us, so they're not going to get to Aether Gust this turn. No Phoenixes in here, right? We exiled that one earlier. Do I want to give them value off an anger? Playing the Arcanist out is really good if they have any blocker, and their odds of having any blocker is much higher than them having a second anger. So, I'm going to play this out. If they have Sweeper plus a way to interact with Den at instant speed, I'm basically dead, but I think our play to win line is commit the Arcanist to the board. All right, any castable instant and sorcery here so we can fire up the Den and ship in would be great. Is their last card an instant that they can use to have this eat my Den on my turn? Is another question. That just resolved. I think I'm supposed to fire up Den of the Bugbear. If these have to trade here, we're in an incredible spot. If these get to trade. Okay. Yeah, I think I just pass. Expressive Iteration is just so good. You just see so many cards. Can we ban Brainstorm already, by the way? Can we just, like, give people their 4 rare wild cards? Because there's no way that card is okay to unban, chat. Just actual 0%. Give people their cards back, Watsy. For fuck's sake. Alright. Dodge the second anger of the sun's there. Yeah, there's like no way. And like, it really makes me chuckle that like the people that wrote the condescending, well, Brainstorm's not really a problem, but y'all are whiny babies, basically. They knew Consider and Delver were coming. It's like, y'all knew what was getting added to the format. You should have known Brainstorm was not going to be okay. Yeah, they knew Dragon Rage Chandler was coming too. Darcy, Delver, Consider, like, yeah. I'll keep this. It's technically like a double tapped land hand, he says before getting Thought Seized on one. Honestly, all the good nuts, I think they just shouldn't have a suspension list. The only reason the suspension list exists in Magic Arena right now is to be anti-consumer and take cards away from people and not give them wild cards right away. If they ban something and give out wild cards and later decide that that something is okay again, you could unban it and you just gave people 4 free wild cards. It's really not a big deal. Yes, if Wizards was going to use the suspension list appropriately, I think the suspension list could actually be a really good tool, but they've proven to us that they have no intention of using the suspension list appropriately. Jeff, you ask, what in your opinion would be an appropriate use of the suspension list? Rotating suspensions a minimum once per month to see if they make the format more fun and interesting. People are bitching about memory lapse. Memory lapse should have been suspended for a week or 2 and see if it made the format better. People are upset about just whatever is the current thing people are upset about. Rotate through it and see if it makes things better. And if it doesn't make it better, put it back. I had small amounts of optimism that that was how the suspension list was going to be used, and it's very clearly not how it's being used. Oh, we're super fucking dead here. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Not that on board. If they attack with everything and on the off chance they don't kill us, we can have a big turn next turn and kill them. So we'll give it a wait a second here and give it a chance. Shamans is incredibly sweet, and it is 100% on my list of things that we're going to get back to playing at some time in the not-too-distant future. Historic submissions have largely dried up on the channel, so I'm picking out things that I want to be playing with. Yeah, we're dead. We just don't have enough trample damage here. This gives reach and not trample for some reason. I think Reckless Rage is worse than, like, Magma Spray and Unholy Heat here. And I think we largely just don't change other than that. We just, like, stay pretty linear. I think we had a slow start that game. We knew we were going to have a slow start. I'm just going to fire up our racehorse here. Teamer Battle Rage is not legal in this format, no. As in Cons of Tark here. It has not been reprinted in any of the supplemental sets. Best of one Boros Wizards. No, I don't follow best of one trends because I don't enjoy playing best of one as a format. I think Magic is a much better best of three than best of one game. I think the most interesting and skill testing parts of Magic the Gathering are how you sideboard and how you mulligan at the start of the game. And best of one removes both of those things from being things that you can do. And I've talked about this on stream before too. I would really love it if they gave us a game 3 best of one queue where, like, you had decks with sideboards and you both for 20 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever saw the list of spells in your opponent's deck, and then you sideboarded and you played one game 3 with sideboards. I think that would be a really skill testing and sweet format in a best of one setting. Yeah, you let people practice sideboarding in Rapid Fire too, which is a skill that a lot of new players need practice with because it's one of the harder parts of Magic. Alright, so we really want to draw an untapped land here so Wild Shape can give trample. If we draw untapped land, I think they're dead. Tarkus commands a lot of damage with the Arcanist. Are we dead now? Yeah, we're just dead to Rage Forger triggers. Third rate Forger will do big. So, we've only into 5 that game. If we'd have had one more resource being an untapped land, we'd have... Would we have killed them there? We would have dealt, so they would have blocked 2, and they would have taken 6 down to 12, and then Kiln Fiend would have been 3, 9, and then that would have been 9, and then we would have given Kiln Fiend plus 2. So we would have had 12, 14. Yeah, they would have died if we'd have had an untapped land there. I believe we would have put them to exactly 0. Bring Tronlands to Historic. I know a 6-month resub timeout request when I see one. Welcome back, Jams. My opponent has mulligan to 5 at least. I would assume they're either unlucky or maybe playing Tybalt's Trickery. This deck probably has a pretty okay Trickery matchup. We Goldfish at turn 4 pretty consistently. Seeing Jeff recall board states like that is when chess players are like 8 moves out loud and I lose track. Yeah. Well, I mean, you should be thinking through your plays that far in advance, right? Lamarok, thanks for the follow. Alright, let's just punch him in the face, huh? Too fast, too furious here. I suppose if they're a fair deck, they could kill the Kiln Fiend here, but if they're just Tybalt's Trickery, they're taking a 14 wall. Ooh, that's weird. Did y'all get some frame drop? My internet, my connection speed just fluctuated there. It dropped for a second. It says I dropped. It dropped. That was on my end. It looks like it stabilized. It said we dropped 215 frames. Yeah, it was a split second and it came right back up. Strange. No, yeah, it was not you, it's me. Yeah, that's really strange because usually my fiber's real solid. All right, so I'm gonna burn a couple of Snakeskin Veil as a proactive spell and a couple of Ceratops as hasty mons. Graveyard Hate doesn't matter a lot of the time in this matchup because usually their first hit's good enough. Sometimes they break, but... And Kiln Fiend on 2's a keep. Did I miss lethal with my land sequencing? So this is 9. This is 15. No. All right, I think I'm supposed to hold Wild Shape up here in case they hit like a Magma Opus or a Sweeper effect. And then we can push for lethal next turn. So I don't have lethal this turn, obviously. We'll attack with this. And then if they hit like Magma Opus or something, we can use these. We can use this to protect and then push through next turn. Well, I can't give them Sarah's Emissary. So you may have the other two, and we hope their hand's not good. Wait. Since I think one of my largest complaints about Magic as a game is how inconsistent their templating is. So, but yeah, could someone, like, these things usually say if it was cast from hand, right? Can anybody correct me if I'm wrong? The historical template we've used on this is cast from hand. So, like, this was cast, like Emergent Ultimatum cast the spell, but usually they template it cast from hand. Agent of Treachery is cast from hand, right? Is that right? Oh, Agent's just ETB. Oh, right. That was the modified Q. That was the revised one. Right, because we were blinking Agent. I'm thinking of the Cyclone Summoner. That's the one. That's the one. If it was cast from your hand. Got it. I knew I wasn't crazy. Approach from the Sun is also cast from hand. The Mirror Agent is cast from hand, I believe. This is not linear enough. In bottom. Oh, it's a legendary creature and they templated it that way for EDH. Is that one legendary? I actually don't know. Alright, so we need an untapped land here. So they boarded out of the combo? Man, for when you need a little extra variance in your variance deck. God, that's unreal fucking greedy. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna play the Tybalt's Trickery deck, you might as well just try and crank the variance to a 12, huh? So for reference there, our opponent had Anger of the Gods in their deck with their... I've seen some of these Trickery decks board into ramp spells and Anger when they're on the draw because turn 4 is just too slow against decks like what we're playing a lot of the time. But usually you board out the Trickeries and the Cascade cards because if you have Anger in your deck, you're not guaranteed to Cascade into Trickery. But if you want a little bit of extra gamble with your gamble deck, might as well. Remember, Magic's an incredibly high variance game. There's a lot of variance powered cards like that in it. We even see those in Standard with things like Storm the Festival. Yeah, maybe this isn't a keep because Kiln Fiend doesn't work well with these. Well, we've basically mulliganed to 5 with Reckless Rage against Just Guy. It wasn't until the conjure mechanic appeared that the game was random. Big mood. Get some turtle value here. Alright, gas Mizzix Mastery so I can concede. Thanks, good shot. So Ceratops is great. Honestly, we probably want Skews too. Definitely want Snakeskin Veil. I guess Full Flame draws a card, which is nice. Makes it a little bit better than some of these other ones. Let's trim a couple of these commands. They're okay for reach, but we probably won't be very wide here very often. I'm excited to get Memory Lapse to miss my third land drop again next turn. Maybe they'll be merciful and only Lightning Helix us instead. Sweet merciful Jeskai gods, Lightning Helix us. The real question is, did our opponent lose down to 93% playing Jeskai control? Or were they playing meme decks down to 93% and now they're playing Jeskai control to try and rank back up? Oh, Counterspell fucking sucks too. Stop it. They both suck. Yeah, you want to put Counterspell in the format or leave Memory Lapse in the format, unban Veil of Summer, and print Red Elemental Blast. Other colors need ways to interact on the stack if you're going to put that efficient of interaction in the format. Honestly, I think even Mana Leak's too good. I think 2 mana unconditional counters that are better than Quench are too strong. My body is ready to be Gear Hulk shit. Oh, just Archmage's Charm, sure. It does make Helix a lot better for them, yeah. Again, probably the best card in Historic Horizons long term. Archmage's Charm. Whoa, they didn't have a lightning helix. That's so good for us, chat. I'm not crazy, right? On the previous turn, it left the third green mana open. Am I crazy? I didn't check it there because the previous turn it left the third green mana open, right? Okay, so that, like usually I'm very good about checking with abilities, but like, yeah, just fucking wild and frustrating. Yeah, they'd be dead here, right? All right, I'm done. I don't know. Let's play some standard. I'm off historic for the day. One historic deck's about all I can take lately. To ramp on the Grill deck, I don't know. It doesn't seem... This is... Let's give a concise wrap. This is a sweet do the thing deck. You get to pop off and kill people on 4 from small board states in ways that are kind of neat. But overall, the deck kind of falls apart when your opponent is interacting with you and your threat density isn't high and you have incredible wrong half problems. This felt like a more volatile version of Feather that was less consistent but more explosive.